Hello and welcome to Photo Academy Live episode 25.
25. We actually would like to know if you hear us all right. I think that my sound is beautiful, Anders.
And my sound should be equally beautiful as David's sound.
Yes, it looks good on the meters, so I think we are okay.
Yeah. Several hours to prepare, and we have prepared, and then just seconds before we start, then of course our dear beloved Zoom ran out of batteries, so we had to change that.
Yes. Hello, Japan. I see Japan there. Washington D.C.
John says, "Can hear you, but muffled." Muffled. Am I still muffled, John?
And is David all right, or is he also muffled? I mean, more muffled than normally.
I think we will go. We go with this, and if something sounds okay, sounds good. Thank you, John, for confirming. Love you. So today's topic is top 10 misunderstandings about light. So what do we mean by that?
Well, I have had a lot of workshops for a lot of people, and I met a lot of photographers discussing lights for many years, and I have discovered that there is some misunderstandings about light that is constantly coming back over and over again. So we put together the top 10 most common misunderstandings about light. And I'm sure that most of you guys will be really familiar with all of them, and maybe one or two or maybe 10 will be something new to you. So this is super interesting.
Yes. Oh, we just wanted to say hi to everybody.
Yeah.
We got Eric here, and we got Washington D.C. We got Japan here, and Fernando as well from Spain, and we got Mexico again as well. This is awesome. Oh, from Alfa Romeo, Mexico. And we have India, Trip confirming, you can hear us clearly. And Catalonia, Artur from Catalonia. We were just there.
Yeah, we were.
We were actually there last week. That's why it was cancelled. Because we were there doing some top secret stuff.
Yes, we had so much fun in Catalonia.
Yes, Barcelona.
Yes.
And we were treated well by everybody there. We got Sicily and Thailand as well. We got the whole world, basically. Yes. Excellent. So then I think we will get started and cranking. This is a holiday special. Oh, Poland is here as well. Hello, Poland. And so this is a holiday special. After this episode, we will take a little bit of a break for holiday, so we can celebrate all kinds of holidays. I celebrate every single one of them. So any occasion, if it's Kwanzaa or what was the latest I've heard was the Saturnalia.
Okay. What is that?
That's actually a holiday that pagans and also specifically the Romans celebrated, and it started on 17th of December and it went through over Christmas.
Okay, so you celebrate that, of course.
Yeah. And everything was upside down, and so the masters started to serve the servants, and it was just wine and orgies and all that. So it was really interesting holiday. And then the Christians took over that time frame and put in a kind of a more decent holiday. instead of having all these orgies and wine and so forth.
I learned so much from you, Anders.
Yes.
Yes,
So
thank
so
you.
please join me and we party Saturnalia.
Okay, cool.
So we got more. We got Calgary. We got Canada joining in as well. Lithuania. Awesome. So the misunderstandings.
Yes, top 10 misunderstandings about light.
Okay, so let's jump over to number 1. Diffusion equals soft light. There we go.
Diffusion equals soft light. That is the number 1 of the top 10 misunderstandings about light. That diffusion.
Now I just
equals soft
realized we
light.
should have done it like David Letterman did in the past, where you start with 10, 9, and you count up.
exactly. This is more like a random order, or
Yeah, I mean they are really not. They're not in any priority order or any importance or.
Letterman wise. No.
Yeah, no, we should have done that
Yeah, I should have
next
done
time.
it. Next time.
Bad boys.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so the first misunderstanding, that when you put diffusion on your modifier, you will get soft light.
Yeah, and especially if you have like a hard reflector,
Yeah.
something like this. A lot of people put a diffusion straight on this one and then all of a sudden the light becomes softer.
Yes. And I think it is because that the diffusion material is much more soft in its material
Yeah.
than the hard structure of the hard surface of the modifier.
Yeah.
And I think that people think that light inherit the feeling of the material it comes from, which of course isn't true. So I will just bring this back here. Wait. So when you put diffusion, on a modifier like this,
And that's, by the way, really bad diffusion paper.
yeah, but it works. But it,
It works, yeah.
it can start to burn exactly. So when you do like this, when you put diffusion directly on a modifier, what will happen is that your modifier will not change in size. Okay, and the shadows, the softness of the shadows is totally depicted by the size of the light source. So you will not have softer shadows. What will happen is that you will eliminate when you have multiple light sources, like you have the one in the middle and you have like a black ring around the light source and then a new light source, and this can create shattered shadow edges. You can have multiple shadows, but the overall width of the shadow edges or the overall softness will be the same. So you won't have softer light when you do like this.
Yeah.
To have that, you need to have a bigger light source. When you do like this, when you move it further away, this will be a bigger light source. Then you will have softer shadows.
Yeah, then this will become a new light source, and
Yes.
then it will be softer.
Exactly.
And this is very common, for example, when you have the old, the standard zoom reflector, and you use it with a flat front flash, like a B10 or a B1, for example. Then you have an inner ring, which is kind of pretty big, which is completely black.
Yeah. You have the flat front, and
Yeah.
then you have a black inner ring, and then you will have the
Yeah,
reflection.
so you have very
ring
distinct double
outside.
shadows. But then when you put diffusion on it, you get a gradient, nice gradient instead, or
Yeah.
penumbra.
Yeah, instead of two separate gradients, two separate penumbras together. But I also see a lot of people putting on diffusion like that, and then they put on even more and more and more, and think that you will have softer and softer and softer light.
Yeah.
Dikt an, how do you say that in English? Straight on,
Yeah.
just like this. And this, of course, will only, you won't change the size of the light source by having multiple layers of diffusion. The only thing you will do is you will, eat up light. Light will turn into heat, and you will.
And you have to increase the power on the flash.
Yeah, so you will just
So-
use more energy.
Yeah.
You won't get any softer light. So,
We got a comment from Fernando there. Frank Dorhoff was talking about it just a moment ago. Okay, we need to check out Frank Dorhoff. He's saying good things.
yeah,
Great. We need to check him out.
you need to check them out.
So that's good. So, why is it that people perceive it as soft then? because something happens. Besides the shadow edges or the feel of the material, there is something that actually does happen, right?
There is something that actually happens, yes.
And normally when you have diffusion right on a modifier, this becomes a, well, let's bring this out again. You might as well keep it here. If you have this guy here, this actually focuses the light spread, so it pulls in everything, and then you get some control over where your light will hit.
Without the diffusion. Yes.
Without, as it is now. But when you put the diffusion on it, then it will start spreading light in 180 degrees, all directions.
Yeah. And if you have walls, if you have floor and a ceiling, then that light will probably hit the floors and the ceiling and the wall, which in turn will be a new indirect light source that will lift your shadows. Your shadows will become brighter. And this is more about contrast.
Yeah.
So when you put diffusion on, you will probably get lower contrast. But is that hard or soft? Is contrast hard or soft? We have to have some kind of definition of what is hard light and what is soft light. And I think that hard light is all about the shadows. How does the different parts of the shadow look? If you have a really thin shadow edge, for me that is a hard light. If you have a really wide shadow edge, that is a soft light. If it is dark or bright, that is all about the contrast. The contrast and the shadow edges is two totally different things that you can control separately. So, just to define the hard and
it's
soft.
just like John is commenting here that people confuse the contrast with the softness of the light.
Exactly.
And that's very common, that they think if my shadows are lighter, then it's a softer light, or if they are darker, it's a harder light.
Yeah.
You can make a really soft light with really wide penumbras and a very, very dark shadow.
Yeah. So
and the opposite, you can make a...
The darkness of the shadows and the width of the penumbras, that has nothing to do. Two totally different things. You can control them differently, separately. So, yeah,
cool.
exactly.
Off we go to the next. HSS, freezes motion.
Yes.
Ooh, that's a common, very, very common misunderstanding, that there are a lot of people that are setting the flashes, remotes and everything on HSS, and they're trying to freeze motion.
Yes, because HSS means high speed sync.
Yeah.
And I think that high speed, that it has to do anything with high speed motion in front of the camera.
Yeah. No.
Which it doesn't. The high speed sync, the high speed is all about the shutter inside the camera.
That it goes with a high speed.
Yeah. That is why it's called high speed sync. And I actually think that name is a stupid name.
Yeah, we should call it something else.
Yeah, I should call it something else.
The thing that doesn't freeze motion.
Yes. That's a really good name.
Yeah, and so it would be no misunderstandings.
Exactly. Let's turn on the thing that doesn't freeze motion. No freezing of the motions.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does the HSS do then, Anders?
Well, it enables you to actually shoot with a shutter speed that is shorter or faster than the sync speed of the camera.
Yes, but if I do have if I then have a fast shutter speed, let's say a 5,000 of a second, that should freeze motion. So why should HSS freeze motion?
Well, it does to a certain extent freeze motion. If you go to a 5,000 of a second, for example, but a lot of motion is faster than that, and a flash will always be shorter or faster than the fastest shutter speed. So you can always freeze more with the flash.
And I actually would say even like this, that if you have your camera set on a 5,000 of a second shutter speed, your actual shutter speed, I mean, that is the sync speed. It takes the sync speed of your camera to draw the image of the sensor. Mm-hmm. So the flash will, pop flashes all the time. So it will never be faster than the sync speed.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So you will
you
actually
can't freeze.
So you will have motion blur. Yeah. And there will be impacts of it.
So HSS doesn't freeze motion.
No, clearly.
Yeah.
And if you want to freeze motion, try to control the ambient light if possible, if you're in a controlled environment. Dim it down as much as possible and let the flash freeze the motion, because it will always be faster.
Yeah.
And So don't use HSS to freeze motion, because what happens is that the flash will go on and then it starts pulsating, and then you actually have a longer burn time of the flash. So we're getting any interesting questions here?
Yeah, we got a question or a comment from Mike about quality of light.
Yeah, he likes the quality of light of the parabolic umbrellas. The silver one XL is the best for me, but I never would try to soften the light with the diffuser. The size is what matters. Exactly. So he's got it.
Yeah. Actually, the term there, quality of light, we will discuss that a little bit later, because that's an interesting term. It's really subjective.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We'll get back to that.
We'll get back to that.
Yeah, so that was misunderstanding number 2.
Yes, that
HSS freezes motion.
Which it doesn't.
It doesn't. No.
It doesn't. No.
And then, so let's jump over to drum roll number 3.
Okay.
Low contrast equals soft light. This ties in a little bit on what we talked about, the diffusion.
Yeah.
But this is even more clearly that if you're shooting in a small studio, for example, if you're shooting in your garage or in a office, or and sometimes you get crammed into conference rooms when you're shooting at a company, for example, and then you have white walls, white ceiling, and maybe even white floor.
Even white floor.
I mean, you shot at the hospital right before we went to Barcelona, right?
Yeah. They do have white floors everywhere.
Yeah. So then you get light bouncing everywhere, and you lower your contrast. And then if you're shooting with an A1, for example, you can get really, really sharp shadow edges, really thin ones, but still the shadow can be very, very light, like light gray, and that's not soft light.
Exactly, and as I used to stress, is that the word soft light and hard light, that is all about the look of the shadows, the look of the shadow edges. Are they thin, are they wide? That is what creates softness or hardness. The contrast, how bright the shadows are, that's a different thing. That is the contrast, which is caused of the environment.
Yes.
The environment controls the contrast, or depicts the contrast.
Yeah.
Like if you have an A1 out on a football field, you will have a much more higher contrast, darker shadows, than if you are inside a white small room with the same light source, because of there is no walls on a football field. And it sounds obvious when we say it, but still people get confused and think that you get a certain amount of contrast depending on what you have, what light source you have. But it is the environment that controls the contrast. So low contrast, the misunderstanding here is that low contrast equals soft light. So soft light is soft light, contrast is contrast. Separate those two.
Yeah.
Read your environment to understand your contrast.
So now we got one question that ties back to the second one about freezing motion from Nigel here, regarding what would be the best lights to get a series of images quickly, i.e., for example, a gymnast for jumping. So the easiest way is to rent 6 Pro 10s with Pro heads, put magnum reflectors on them, and then blast the gymnast with the Pro 10s. And why 6 of them? And but that's just because you want to turn it down as low as possible, and because the lower power level you have on them, the shorter the burn time is, the flash duration.
In other words, that it will freeze even better. The shorter burn time, the more freeze effect you will have. But then on the other hand, is it possible to rent 10 Pro 10s, 6 Pro 10s? Of course there is, but it's, what if you can't rent 10 or 6 Pro 10s?
Yeah, so the second thing after that, I'd say any light would work if you can control the ambient light in that area where the gymnast is jumping or doing. So for example, if you're in a studio like we are now, I could turn on the lights that we have above and just really turn them down and make it as dark as possible and let the gymnast jump more or less in the dark. Yeah. Then I could use an A1 to freeze the motion. Yes, because then I don't need a lot of power.
Yeah, because it is the ambient light that creates the motion blur.
Yeah.
Your flash will hardly do. It is the ambient light that really creates the motion blur. So by getting the ambient light down in the environment, or by having a lot of power of your flashes. I mean, that is the two options you have.
Or we have the David Bishop way.
We have the David Bishop way.
Yeah, you can
Ooh.
shoot 500 brown bears and take the bear skins and make a huge flag out of it and block out all the ambient light.
Of course, exactly.
But that's cruel. You know, I
That's-
like
yes.
animals, so we don't like that.
Yes.
No, so you could take, like, if you have dark cloth or a lot of dark flags, then you could block off the ambient light as well if you can't control the ambient light.
Yeah. So the key thing here is that you need to have as little ambient light as possible.
On the gymnast.
Exactly. If you do not have a lot of power of your flashes, then you have to get to know the guy who controls the light in your stadium or whatever, and tell him to turn the light down.
Yeah.
So that is the trick.
So you need to either overpower the ambient light or turn down the ambient light.
Yes.
And if possible, find a way to get any flash, whatever flash you have, as low as possible, and you might need several flashes.
Exactly.
So that's one way of doing it. Multiple images of a gymnast in a single frame.
Yeah, that is fun. Then you need to have even less ambient light.
Yeah,
Okay.
like none.
Like none. So your shutter speed is really long, and then you can pop your flashes like manually or on some kind of remote thing with the sequence function. Okay,
And
maybe
then
2 seconds of a shutter speed, and your gymnast is doing stuff, and then you flash on the same exposure.
Yeah,
Or
so-
you do it in Photoshop afterwards. That's another way to do it.
Yeah, so you can use, if you have, let's say you have a 1DX Mark II, a Canon or a Nikon D5, and then you just go do a series of 14 pictures, and then you will have the gymnast in each frame. There's a little bit of movement and there's no ambient light. So then you just add those, you layer them on top of each other, and then
change the mode, the blending mode to what should we say? Ooh, yeah, some interesting. Perhaps I don't dare to say. I would need to try it out. Which blending mode to use?
yeah, which would be the best one.
Yeah, but if you want to do it exactly as you say, multiple images of the gymnast in one single frame. That is all about killing the ambient light, long shutter speed, and popping that flash while the gymnast is doing his or her stuff.
This would be really difficult to do in an environment like where you were 2 weeks ago with the Special Olympics guys.
Yeah.
Because there was just a lot of light in that.
Yeah, that is really tricky. Have you seen the image I done with this girl? The model's name is Nelly.
Nelly.
She's running.
Yes.
And then we have one long continuous light to make those nice motion blur stuff running after her by using the second curtain function, and then a flash to freeze her in the front.
Yeah.
So you can, you
can
can
mix that,
it,
yeah,
but you
exactly.
still need control of all of your light, and you do not want any ambient light whatsoever.
No.
That's
that. And now over to number 4.
Yes.
Bam.
Dun.
How grids increases contrast.
Yes, there is so many ways. I hear people discuss this. I hear people explain this in so many different ways. So the question or the misunderstanding is, here I have a grid, and the effect of a grid, why is that? And the reason of it, that is where people are misunderstanding the way grid works.
Yeah.
So we can, grids increase contrast, right? But that is mostly the effect.
Yeah.
Depending on the environment.
Yes.
Contrast is always about the environment.
Exactly. So if you take a modifier, if it's a soft light reflector or a magnum or a zoom reflector, you put a grid on it, and you're standing in a football field, it will not change contrast at all.
No, you won't have any difference whatsoever,
No.
except from you will see the reflection in the eye that you have grid on it, but that's it. So the contrast is controlled by the environment.
But if you do that in my bedroom, which is a small bedroom, with white walls and everything, then putting on the grid would increase the contrast, because the light will not bounce on the walls. And again, I'm controlling the spread of light, or the light coverage.
Yeah.
And therefore I only get light on what I'm shooting, and then a higher contrast.
Exactly.
And because I've heard so many different versions, some people say that the light gets compressed in the honeycomb.
Ooh,
That's an interesting one.
compressed light.
Yeah, so light gets compressed when it passes those honeycomb cells.
Okay.
And I've heard that also that in the honeycombs that there are certain frequencies of light that actually get stopped by the honeycomb, so they can't pass through, and therefore.
So certain frequencies get stopped.
Yeah.
Interesting. That should create a totally different color. then.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So it impacts the color as well. So a lot of interesting things happening
Well,
with grids. But in general, I love grids. I mean, grids
Yeah.
are awesome. And
Grids are awesome.
Why is that? Because you control the light. You really can only light what you want to light, and you can paint with light.
Yeah. And if you have a shadow that is too dark, you can always bring it up. It's hard to do
Absolutely.
it the opposite way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So grids are really great.
Yeah.
I love grids too. And actually, I know that many people say that grid makes your light have a longer depth of light.
Oh,
Yeah.
to get more parallel lights.
Exactly. That you would get more parallel rays of light by using a grid. And that isn't true either.
No.
No, because if I have no grid on Anders, boom, the rays that actually are hitting Anders, they are still the same if you put a grid on. So you won't change those rays of light.
No.
The rays that are missing Anders, we block them out by using the grid. But the rays that is already hitting Anders, they still will be. So
Exactly
it is the same thing that is with or without grid. It's just the light on the environment that you control
Yeah.
and block.
And we got Mike confirming what we just said there, that freeze the motion with the flash duration at slower shutter speeds. And that's exactly what you should do regarding freezing motion.
Yeah.
So that was that about grids.
Yes. If you have any comments or thoughts or questions about grids, we'd love to hear them.
Yeah, grids are great.
Grids are
But
great.
grids are great, but they do not necessarily increase contrast.
No.
But very often they do.
Especially when you are.
Because, I think the key
Inside.
learning here is that it's the environment
Yes.
that impacts the contrast. And you keep
Exactly.
on saying that over and over again to me and to
Yeah.
others, and soon I'll learn.
Yes, and I want to say one more thing with grids, that you do control, if you're inside a room like this, you do control the contrast with it because you have walls and etc. But you also control is the shape of your coverage, the light
Oh,
coverage,
that's
the
right.
pattern of light, the stamp of light.
Yes.
So if you only want to have light here and no light on your lower parts, then a grid is perfect. So you control two things. I mean, you control how much light you will have in your environment, and also the look of your stamp of light.
Yeah. And you have it then, normally you get a very nice gradient from grids as well.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
the gradient, the fall off, I mean, from the light part of the light pattern all the way out to the darkness, has a nice
Yeah.
look.
And I think it has a nicer look than using a snoot, for example. I think a snoot has a more uglier, well, that's what I
Yeah.
think, it's a uglier coverage of light.
But that's a matter of taste.
That's a matter of taste.
Yeah, some
It is.
people might like it,
Yep, and I
and
mean,
we don't judge.
Nope.
and we don't hate.
No,
No,
we do
no.
not hate. But it would be really cool to have a grid that you could, change.
Ooh.
Maybe you could talk to some pro photo guys.
Yeah,
out
we need
there.
to talk about that.
Yeah,
That
you
would be
know,
nice.
a really big one and getting a really small
Yeah.
one. But
Getting
still
close
with the-
to something you can do with optics, but it would be cool to do it with the grid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be cool.
Yeah,
Just by
so-
changing the angle of the. And actually, I want to say one more thing about grids, because I think this is so cool. If you have like a big softbox
Yeah.
with a grid on,
Mm-hmm.
soft grid, and or let's say that you do not have the grid on, you remove the grid, you have
Yeah.
a big softbox, and when you bring this light source closer to you, it will become bigger, right?
Correct.
And a bigger
Oh, yeah,
light
this is
source
cool
will
to know.
create a wider penumbra.
Yes.
But when you put a grid on it,
Uh-huh.
when you go closer with the light source, your light source will actually go smaller,
Yeah.
because all the grids will block out
Block
everything.
out
Yeah, so
the-
you get a smaller light source. In other words, thinner penumbras
Yeah.
when you go closer. That is kind of Interesting.
Yeah, but it's pretty easy. If you have something with a grid, turn the light on, not too strong though, because you might ruin your eyes. We don't want you to lose your eyes. And then you look at this, and you'll see how it actually becomes smaller. But you have to be really, really close.
Yeah.
To get to see the effect. And Jim is jumping ahead of schedule. We're only at number 4, how grids increase contrast, and he's already at happy holidays, everyone. That's our last point, Jim. Don't ruin it for everybody. You're giving it away.
Yeah, and John's brings this out again. Grid appears smaller as you get closer.
Yeah, this is exciting. Yeah, so take a look at it.
Take a look at it. I mean, I can show it. Can I?
Yeah. Grab one.
I think it should work.
Well, I think you need a light on it, right?
Maybe I need a light source to...
You have a B10 there.
Yeah, but do I have a... Oh, I have a B10, yes. So
Now we see what happens.
Let me show...
Unrehearsed.
Unrehearsed, but I'm showing John. And I know that John is quite familiar with all this stuff, so...
No, can you use that?
Yeah, I can use that. But I have this platta in the middle.
Oh.
Maybe that one, Magnum.
Oh, let's see. Oh, there we go. There's a good one. Good thing we have plenty of light shapers to pick from.
I think a softbox is much better, actually. Let's do the softbox, because you will see this light source.
Well, actually, it becomes smaller when you're this close.
Okay, here we go. Proving that you will get a smaller light source by you having a grid. Do we have some light on? And what if I do like this, we might see. Okay, let me go in.
Yes.
Damn, we have a wide angle on that.
And you need a wider angle lens.
Damn, it won't be showable. Sorry, this was unrehearsed, of course. But I think you get the point. I think because when you're getting close, one edge will be angled like this, and the other edge will be angled like this. From your point of view, you will only see in the final end just one small square of light.
Yeah.
And do not have a wide angle eye like that camera has.
Yeah, well, we need to upgrade to maybe a fisheye lens or something like that. Then we could see it. There we are. Hello. So yeah, John meant to, not question. Oh, grid appears smaller as you get closer.
Yeah.
And you meant, yes.
Yes,
exactly.
you wasn't
Okay.
questioning exactly.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, so thank you for clearing that out.
But now you put us in trouble here, John, trying something unrehearsed and not really thought through with the wrong lens on cameras. So,
Yeah,
anywho,
but still,
it was fun.
It was fun, but still, it's still true.
It is still so true.
Yes. Grid blocks light from the extremities, making it smaller when closer.
Yeah. Cool. Let's then jump onwards to. Linda thinks this is an interesting video. Well, thank you. And we're not done yet, so you might get. No, we'll keep up the interesting part. Yes. Yeah.
Number 5 is.
Number 5 is. Boom. A1 modifiers. Oh, this is something that I like a lot.
Yeah, and actually, one of my käpphästar, one of my things that I love to talk about too.
Yes, and one of the things I keep on whining to you about.
Yeah, we have
As
one
well.
of your Anders whining parts there too. Yep.
Yeah, because there is one. There are two things mainly that I really want people to understand. Because there are two things that actually people do things wrong and they end up in trouble, and then things can go bananas.
Yes.
And it's all about the magnetic accessories. So we have a orange filter here to make it. Let's see if I put it over there. You see it against the white. It's orange, and it makes stuff warmer. The light will be warmer, and you have a dome, for example. And then a lot of people put them on top of each other because they like the dome and they like the light that comes from the dome, and then they want it warmer. So they put them just simply on top of each other. And then they walk around, maybe have it on one of those, what do you call it, black rapid type of, and then they bounce into things, and this comes off really, really easy. And that's not good. You might lose it and someone steps on it, or you don't even
maybe
find
a dog eat it. That would be
even worse. But the trick is that these guys, they have a little white dot here, and there's more small slits around this one. There are actually 12 of them. And when you put them like this, you need to twist the modifier until you hear a click sound.
Then the magnets are really close.
Yeah. So now,
rigid.
when you just put it like this, they're not, all the magnets are not in contact with the metal. So if you twist it, I'll put it close to the microphone, and there's a click sound. So just by twisting a little bit until you hear, and then they are really, really hard to get off. So just twist it a little bit, and it's fantastic. And the same thing goes if you, for example, if you have the soft bounce, you also have the same thing here. So you can put it on like this, and then you can do the twisting thing here as well and go click. So even here on the soft bounce, you have the same thing. So that's number one with this with the A1 modifiers. And number two.
Can I show one more thing that has to do with this?
No.
Please.
Okay.
No, thank you. When you put this on the flash like that, and then you put this one on, it is still the same thing. Of course, you need to hear the click, but when you spin this, you might spin the color gel.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. So you need to.
So you need to kind of hold it so you can spin this. So
And it doesn't matter if you spin the color gel because it's orange all over, but you might hit the zoom, the zoom ring. So you might change the zoom.
You might change the zoom, and I mean, you won't have the click sound if you don't hold it, because then everything will spin.
Yeah.
Can spin. Depends on how. Yeah.
Exactly.
So now and never fail. It always gets stuck there. So,
Yeah.
so that is something I usually get gelled on by Anders, because I twist it, but
Or you don't twist it at all.
I don't twist it actually because I forget it.
Yeah.
So the twisty thing to get the click, that is the
Very,
really
very good.
thing.
And then you won't lose anything, and nothing will break. And then the second thing is a lot of people like using this one. I like to use it, for example, if I'm shooting still life.
What is the name of it?
Soft bounce. Yeah. And so, for example, if I'm shooting 2 wedding rings or some piece of chocolate, I actually put this one on the A1. I put the little stand that comes with it, and then I just put it on the table, and then I just place whatever I want on the table and shoot with a 2470 or a 100 millimeter macro. And then you get a fantastic light, because for these 2 rings over here, this is a massive light source. It's huge if you're that close. So in relation to, and we have Linda. Yeah, I didn't know you must twist it. And Linda, you're not alone. I mean, not even him. He didn't know. So a lot of people don't know that, and so you might lose it. So
You didn't tell me.
I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
Not one more time.
Yeah, but actually what you're saying, that is actually quite a good trick.
It is a cool.
To have a really soft light on something small. It's a really quick way of getting a really nice.
Yeah, if you're doing like a flat lay or so.
Yeah.
And then it's, oh, I want to make this orange as well. I want to make it warmer. So I put this one on, and then people quite often put this one on top of this gel. But the problem is that it gets really flimsy because it doesn't stick. And why is that? And the same thing goes if you put the dome on and then you put this one on top, it falls off really, really easy.
So what to do?
What to do? The thing is, light thing, like these 2, small magnets with less power, big thing, big magnets, strong power. So these magnets here are actually made to get stuck on this one. So with this one, you can shake it and it won't fall off like this. But if I put the dome on and this one on, it falls off right away. I don't even, it's almost gravity will take care of it. So that's why you should always, always, always start with the soft bounce, and then you put, if you like the light pattern of the dome, put that one on afterwards, or if you want it more orangey, put that one on top and twist, and then you have a much safer solution. It will not fall off as easy. Of course, if David walks on it, it will fall off, because
Yes.
I mean, it's still magnets, but it will be much better.
Yes. I saw something that you did that I would like personally to address here. Can I borrow that? No.
Okay, then.
Okay, so if you have the dome here, and you said like if you like the light pattern and so on, what I think you should be aware of if you do like this, is that, let's say that I want to shoot a portrait of you with this beautiful light from this soft bounce.
Yep.
Since you will see this part, you will see the dome here, this is a small light source.
Yeah.
You will have harder light, thinner penumbras.
You will actually get
shadows.
two different edges.
Yes, I would say that this is kind of strange.
Yeah, but still, I mean, that then we come to discussing something matter of taste.
Exactly. So this is just my taste.
Exactly. You
Exactly.
don't like that,
I don't
but
like that.
some people might like
that.
And I see a lot of people mixing soft and hard lights.
Yes, absolutely.
And
if you want to do that, perfect. If you know
Exactly.
what you're doing, but like, don't think that this will create even softer lights, which
Yeah,
I
no.
think that people do.
Yeah.
Because can I go into the
Oh,
omnibounce misunderstanding?
Yes.
Okay, so this.
And over
beautiful-
to you, David.
Oh, thank you, thank you. So this beautiful dome diffuser, used like this will create a really beautiful light patterns. The coverage will be really, really soft. You will get rid of all the edges, different
yeah.
parts of light that isn't perfectly soft. This will create a really smooth transition from the brightest center into the fall off all the way to the edges. Beautiful for that. What it won't do, and I stress this 3 times, this won't create a bigger spread of light.
Like an omnibounce typically does, or that people might be used if they're using Canon or Nikon speedlight. You buy this plastic thing that you put on top of
Yeah.
it, and it spreads light all over.
Which in turn will make all the shadows brighter. Okay,
Yeah.
this doesn't do that. This doesn't change the spread of light. It has the same spread of light, but it creates a softer pattern of the lights that's hitting whatever it's hitting. Okay, so this is not an omnibounce. This softens the coverage of the lights.
Exactly,
And beautifully.
fantastically, and that's a very common problem. And there is an episode of Academy Live where we actually talk about these modifiers, where you see pictures of them. And if you want to see episode, you go onto Photos Facebook page, and you go on to and you click on videos, and then you'll see every single episode.
And even the number.
Even number. Yeah, exactly. You'll get that. You see. I think in almost all of them we actually have put what the episodes are about, like
Exactly.
A1 modifiers or B10, or
Yeah.
so you can just sort out.
Yeah, so all that kind of details on how you use it and what they are meant
Yeah.
to do and stuff like that.
And I need to do a shout out to someone who's actually not with us right now, but it's Alex in Japan, and I know you will watch it tomorrow morning, when it's tomorrow morning in Japan, because right now it's 1 o'clock in the morning, so in a couple of hours you will look at it. But he actually found out that we're doing these things, and he's loving these episodes, so he's gone through 24 episodes, boom. So he's gone through each.
24
Yeah,
hours
that's like a full day, a full 24-hour session. But he's gone through it, so we appreciate that, and he has learned a lot.
Alex, what's the name, Alex?
Alex, yes, and he was actually on the seminar in
Tokyo.
in Tokyo, yeah, on the THX.
Cool.
So special shout out to you when you watch this. I think that's it about A1 modifiers. So remember,
Anything about grids? We haven't said anything about the grids. We don't have any grids here, but
it's the same thing. You need to twist them. If you stack them, twist, twist, twist. You can't put the grid on the dome for obvious reasons.
Yeah, but you can stack
but
the grids if you have a lot of Is it 10 degrees that is flat?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can stack a lot of 10 degrees on, but I don't know. I mean, it works.
It does work. Yeah.
But I think it's better way to put to buy a tube of Pringles to put it on. I think
and
you
put
will have,
straws on it in
yes,
it. Yeah.
put straws in it. That will create
But even smaller. But yeah, so that's a cool thing. So do think about those. If you have a soft bounce, you put it always closest to the flash.
Let's see, we have a question here. If I paint domes with black, if I paint domes with black, is every...
Oh, here's thin penumbra.
Yes, well, you
The
will...
very top part, can you make an A1 hard box? Well, you could if you have a very, very good pigment in that black.
Yeah, and if you do, yes, you will have a small light source, in other words, really small penumbras, but you will also lose a lot of power.
Yes, a
But
lot of power.
It will work if you have. I mean, it will work.
Yeah. Hello, Joel in Houston. Good to see you around. We are going through top 10 misunderstandings about light, and we are just about to jump over to number 6. Dumping Pro 10.
Yes.
Oh, this is a good fun. This is for old farts like me and David.
I actually, for me, I learned this like 1 week ago or so,
Yeah.
and I've been using the Pro 10 a lot.
Yes.
And when I learned this, I was like, it was like, why didn't I know this?
And I think it hasn't really been communicated. And the story behind this is that with older generators, if you put the generator at power level 10 and you boom, 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 you fire it away, and the capacitors get filled up with a lot of power, and then you want to shoot at power level 2, then you need to hit the test button once just to dump the power, and it would only fill up the capacitor up until 10.
Yeah, because
the 2.
Yeah, the Pro 10. If you change from 10 to 2, the Pro 10 will. The Pro 8 will dump the power, but it take a lot of time.
Yeah.
So to make this to go a lot quicker, you just press the test
And
button
then boom.
to make one flash, and you will
Empty the electricity or the power
and
in
be
there.
on power level 2, just like that. So this is called dumping.
Yeah.
And this is something that you always do as an old fart photographer. You always dump when you go down on power. It's like a reflex. So I never even tried it on the Pro 10. For me, it was like you always dump when you go from a higher power to a lower power. But then Anders said to me, "You don't need to do that."
Exactly.
I was like, "Of course you need to do. You must dump it." No, you don't need to. Of course you need to, because you must get rid of all the power.
And here's John as well. He agrees. Yeah, lower power and dump.
Exactly.
But you don't need to do that anymore.
That is so strange. It feels like, the whole body is like, ooh, that hurts in your body when you don't have to dump. But the Pro 10, you don't need to. And the D2.
Or any new product, there is no dumping needed. You just...
And I'm like, I want to dump the A1.
Yeah.
I always want to dump because I can feel the power inside, which isn't there.
Especially when you're going from like 10 and you want to go down to 2 or something like the big extremes. But there is no need.
Is that even true when you shoot really fast? Is it like dumping super quick? Or?
Yeah. It's really super quick. So it's... I can't go into the technological parts because I don't know if it's some trade secret, but I know exactly what happens in there and why it's possible.
So, for all you guys, all you old farts like me.
I'm old, John. Well, so aren't we all?
Well, at least we can dump if we want to. I mean,
yeah. I remember the time when I was young and good looking. Now I'm only good looking.
Yes.
So no dumping. That's not needed for new products. You can just go ahead and for all you newcomers into our lovely world of light, maybe we have some wedding photographers, or we might even have some youngsters that are less than 100 years old like we are. You don't even know what we're talking about right now.
And you don't need to.
And you don't need to. Just ignore us and ignore this. It's mainly for the older guys that have been working with old equipment. So that was it on number 6. We move on to number 7. Power of light impacts light behavior.
Yes.
What does that mean?
That means that I have heard so many people think that when you put a lot of power on your flash, that
Like
the
10?
light, like power level 10,
10.
that the light will bounce more, or that the light will, go through the ears more, or wrap around more, or reach longer.
Changes behavior,
Yeah.
basically.
So the power changed the behavior of the light, which isn't true. The behavior of light is always the same, no matter how much power you have. The only thing that that changes is your camera, the image of the camera. The exposure of your camera will, of course, show
white,
totally
yeah.
different things if you have low power or high power. But that's your camera. The camera creates all the things you see, like overexposed or underexposed, or that you feel that the light is bouncing around more. That is because of your exposure in the camera. The actual light behavior doesn't change when you have more or a lot of power, less or more power.
And I know you, I think even on the seminar in Tokyo, you showed a picture where with what the eye can see and what the camera can see.
Exactly. Maybe I can draw it. I can try to.
Yeah. Okay. So let's jump over to this one.
Yeah.
And now it's Creative Hour with David.
Yes. Please bear with my drawings here. So this is.
Oh, you need to take a thick, much thicker.
I think I need to have a thicker one. Let's go into thickness. Here we have a thick one. Okay, I redraw this eye. This is supposed to look like an eye.
Perfect thickness.
Yes, and this is a scale. This is the brightest part. Let's do
A sun.
A sun here. I do this.
A black sun.
Yes, this is supposed to be the brightest thing that a human eye can see. This is candlelight. Oh, I really love this thick thing here. Okay, so this.
But it looks good.
Yeah, this scale on the left, it is the lowest amount of light that the eye can see, and to the right, the brightest, and this is where it's starting to hurt, right? To the right, this really hurts. Pain, exactly. So this is the dynamic range of your eye.
Yes.
And a camera, let me draw a camera there.
Now you drew a line there.
Yeah, that is my knuckle drawing.
Why do you draw with your knuckles?
Now you did another knuckle drawing.
That's unnecessary, I think.
Yes. So the camera have a much smaller dynamic range. So this is supposed to look like the dynamic range of a camera. So the darkest part of a camera and the brightest part of a camera, it's a much smaller part, narrower part of the total dynamic range of an eye. So the left part here is black.
Underexposed.
Thank you for all those words. And the brightest part is.
Oh, let me overexposed.
Oh, this is the brightest part. In other words, overexposed. Brightest. So when you expose your camera, you're just moving this little box from left to right, or right to left. Okay. So when you change the power of the light, and then you change your exposure to cope with that, you are just moving that box. The behavior of the light doesn't change at all. This is really important. So you cannot make light bounce more just by
go around corners or through
ears or going through noses or stuff like that. So the behavior of the light doesn't change. And I know that when people start out with flash, they think that the more power you have, the more light you will have everywhere.
Yeah.
But the behavior doesn't change. It's all about the exposure in your camera to show more or less light. And
as always, the human body is fantastic. I mean, the eye is just awesome.
Yeah, because the eye changes the exposure.
Yeah. And it changes white balance, and it does all those things automatically, and it has a really wide range compared to any material thing like a camera sensor, etc.
Exactly.
But not compared to other animals.
Not compared to other animals. Ooh. You mean that the animals have more dynamic range or less?
Yeah, some animals can see in darkness.
They can see in darkness.
I went to Botswana and I had several animals that could see me and I couldn't see them.
Oh.
Yeah, that was not so exciting.
No. And they have this thing in the middle that smells you because you...
And they have a much stronger sense of smelling as well, yeah.
Yeah, they do. And our brain, I mean, when we see stuff, we have a short memory that creates the image we just see. So we can actually, our dynamic range is created out of things we saw for 1 second ago. So it's really complicated things going on in the brain. Yeah. So our eye's dynamic range is huge compared to the camera.
But there's one thing that the camera can do that the eye cannot do.
Ooh, what is that?
Oh, you should know.
I do know.
I say green magenta.
Ooh, the green magenta. Yes, of course. You know that the brain can white balance from cold to warm.
Yes.
Yeah, the brain, if you see a warm sunlight, if you look at a paper in warm sunlight, it will become white.
Yeah.
Because the brain white balance your brain, your eyes to see it as white. And the opposite, if you have a blue sky, white paper, your brain will turn that into white.
Yeah, so it will not appear blue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The brain white balance.
Yeah.
Perfect. In Kelvin degrees.
Yes.
But then you have the other degrees that is from green to magenta, like from fluorescent light and such.
Mhm. And that's only with artificial light you get the green magenta shift.
Yes, actually there wasn't any green magenta scale before Mr. Neon invented neon. That was the first time humans saw a green magenta scale.
Yeah.
So
So we're
our-
still practicing, learning.
Yes, our brain cannot white balance green magenta shifts.
Or not white balance, but balance
Yeah.
the green magenta shift.
Exactly. So when you have a small green tint,
Yeah.
you will continue to see a small green tint.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. The brain cannot white balance.
Totally not on our list, but it was a bonus.
A bonus thing. And one more bonus thing. If you white balance your right eye in warm light, you can white balance your left eye in cold light and have two different white balances at the same time.
That's also pretty cool.
That is cool. Like two separate Kelvin degrees in the brain somewhere. Two light room.
Okay, I think we're getting way too deep. Hello, René. René jumped in. Sorry for that. But then over to number 8. How and why do you angle a softbox?
Ooh. I like that, to
Yeah.
speak simultaneously.
Yeah.
Simultaneously. Okay, I see so many people use a softbox like this.
We have a softbox over
We
there.
do.
Yes. Why don't you?
I do.
Maybe you bring it over here.
Yes,
I think it's
will.
maybe easier
And it's
to
so fun
show.
because this is something I always talk about.
So you are almost in frame.
And let me put my dangerous parts over here. Am I in frame now? I don't see
Yes,
myself.
you are. You are in frame.
Okay, there we
Yes.
are. So I see a lot of people put up a softbox like this to take a portrait of,
Yes.
for example, you.
Yes.
Maybe a bit higher, but
Yes.
still this angle of 45 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it isn't wrong at all, but if you break down what actually happens when you have a light source like this, you will have the shape of the light source that will depict all your shadow, the softness
Yeah.
of the shadows, and you will have this stamp of light, the coverage of the light,
Yep.
the light pattern. How does the light pattern look? That is something you control, or you use different parts of the light, so of your light pattern when you are
Yep.
doing like that. So when you just put up your light source like this, your softbox like this,
Yeah.
you use one big flat
Stamp.
stamp of light.
Yeah.
When you start to do like this, start to twist the softbox,
Yeah. Go down a little
go
bit.
down a little bit.
there we
Yeah, I
go.
don't see myself there.
I see yourself.
Yeah, when you start to angle your softbox like this, then you start to use
An angle in that direction, so
Yeah,
people
sorry.
see.
Yeah. Then you start to use that light pattern that comes out from the softbox.
So you can use different parts of that light pattern.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
the light pattern is huge, but on the edge of it you have this gradient. Then you can use that gradient to make this part darker, or you can make your forehead and chin even. You can have the forehead darker or brighter, depending on. So the key here
So
is
you can
to
control the light, and you go through all these things in how to light a face.
Yes.
The course on Academy,
Absolutely.
really in detail on how to do that, and you can control the brightness of the cheeks and the forehead, chin, and so forth. And you
And
can
so
also
forth.
block off my ugly shoes, for example,
Exactly.
by twisting it upwards.
Exactly. So by having your softbox just like this, 45 degrees, that will create, a standard kind of super boring light for me.
Yeah.
That is also something subjective.
You can do a lot more fun stuff.
Start to angle
And people
your
might
softbox.
like that
Yeah.
light, and we don't judge, right?
No, we don't
good.
judge.
No.
Am I in frame? Yes, I am.
Yes.
Hello. So I
So
just
it's nothing wrong. But it's just like a lot of fun thing can happen if you start moving around the softbox, and don't be afraid of moving around.
No, because the important part is how it looks in the image. There is no
Exactly.
correct way. I know there's people saying that you should have the eyes on 1/3 from the bottom like that, and the distance should be the diagonal size of the softbox. That is the perfect way to have a softbox. And I say that that is bullshit.
Yeah.
Because you need to look what you have and twist and turn and see what you like and what you don't like and aim for what you like more,
Yeah.
the things you like.
Because quite often when you have the standard position that people use, you will have a difference in the amount of light that hits the forehead, brighter, and less on the chin, so it will be darker. So you have this kind of strange.
Yeah, yeah. So the
off,
key thing I just want to stress is look how it looks in camera. Twist, see if there is something you like more or less.
Yeah.
Because things can really start to happen. And when people ask me, oh, I'm stuck, I always create the same stuff all the time, how can I improve my lighting?
Yeah.
And they do this all the time, it's time to start to twist those softboxes. That is the...
It's really cool. And I've actually kind of... okay, so here's a question from John. Can David do a show tutorial how he makes the for the photo shots? Ooh, that's very good. And actually, that's in plan. And as soon as we get something to shoot, we might have already, we don't know, but
we will do.
We will do one, yeah.
We will do something.
We will definitely do something.
Actually, on my homepage, my web page, bishu.se, I know I have a small clip there down on the bottom where you see how I light the D2, light by light.
Ooh, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's there.
Shame on me.
Yeah, it's a short one, but you see light by light there.
Yeah. Advantage of the scenic zenith parabolic compared to a softbox or beauty dish. Oh, well, there's a lot of different things to say about that. First of all, the zenith parabolic was a limited edition light modifier that was sent out to some rental houses in different parts of the world just to try out the quality of light, the quality of the build, and how it works and so forth. It's not released as a product, so we don't know. What else did we have here? We got Nigeria on board, Peru, and here we got from China, but traveling to Bangkok. So anyway, we would like to show examples. Well, Rajesh, if you want to see examples, there is a course on ProPhoto Academy. It's called How to Light a Face. There are plenty of examples in detail, and you can rewind and look it over again, and you'll find everything in there. Really good. Can strongly recommend that. It's probably the best content ever. So over to number 9. We are getting closer. Words.
Yes, words. There is so many words on light out there.
Yeah, and the words like soft light, hard light.
Yeah, we have to address those. Words like soft light, hard light, what does that mean? And we talked about that soft light is all about the shadow edge that creates a shadow to be soft or hard.
Yeah.
And then we have the word quality of light.
Ooh,
yes.
yeah.
And many people use the term quality of light. And I think that it's a real fuzzy definition. I mean, there is no clear definition of quality of light. I mean, you can speak about like how well will colors render. That is one quality of light.
Yeah.
And you can speak about, I think that many people means how soft the light is.
Yeah.
I think that is
in
what
the
many people
US at
think.
least, it's quite often referred to soft, hard light.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the quality
In
of
Sweden,
light.
we don't have that term at all. I mean, we can say it, but we don't use it like we do in US. So,
and it's not that we have a different quality of light. Like the ProPhoto flashes, we don't pack them with special light that we bought.
like from a
the high-end light. It's all same electromagnetic
it is.
radiation. So,
and I mean, like if you use the term quality of light to explain the softness of a light, I mean that is kind of, it can create confusion. I mean, because I think the quality of light also can be about contrast.
yeah,
It depends on if the light looks good in this image. Oh, that is a high quality light.
And then also, is there a low quality of light?
Is there a low quality of light? Exactly.
I don't know.
I have this image it's an image of a beautiful model with a really hard light on, and she's like, really good looking.
Yeah.
And then I switch to myself, my beard and everything. In the same light, it looks like shit. So is the light bad, low quality of light when I'm in it compared to the model? So quality of light be a kind of, you know.
Yeah, I think it's good to be careful with that. Crisp is a good word.
Crisp is a very interesting word. Yeah, I want this crisp light.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want this wrapping light. I want this light to be crisp and hard. And I mean, for you, how do you define a crisp light? What is a crisp light?
Yeah, that's a tough one. So I think basically there would be a need for a little bit of a think tank with different vendors maybe. I mean, including some of the Profoto's competitors to bring out some of our colleagues.
Just to try to
define kind of a wording so that when people talk about hard light or everybody talks about the same thing.
Exactly, so because there is a lot of confusion going on out there, because I know that what is going on, sorry, I just take a snooze. What is going on is that when you look at an image and you get a feeling of when you see that image, if it feels crisp, if it feels soft, if it feels expensive, and then you give that term to the light. Yeah. The feeling from when you're looking at the image. And I think that is the wrong way to define light. Yeah. Because you have those, you have the penumbra, you have the stamp of light, the coverage of light, the light pattern, and you have the size of the light source. You have all these things that actually will create whatever you want. Yeah. And that is what you should discuss. That is what you should think when you want to create your light.
And we all know how important light is to an image. I mean, an image without light is just, it's black frame.
Exactly. I mean, if you compare the camera, the importance of the camera, what camera you use, or the importance of what light you use, which one is the most important part? Which will create the better image? Is it the camera or the light? I mean, the light is like 10,000 times more impacting.
When we say light, it could be a burning cat in a bathtub, it could be a candlelight, it could be a tungsten light, it could be a Profoto flash, it could be, but just light in general. That is what really matters. Yeah. And I always compare the camera is like a white canvas, and if I draw on a white canvas, I do my little smiley and put the legs straight on the head, and it looks like a 2-year-old that has been doing the drawing. And
then you change the canvas to another material.
Take another canvas, it would still look like crap when I draw. But if you take the same canvas, like buy a cheap canvas from the cheapest canvas store, and you give that to Monet or Caravaggio, and they will create. I mean, you can give them a piece of cardboard and they will create a masterpiece on it.
Exactly. So if the camera is compared to be the canvas,
yeah, because that's all it does. I mean, the sensor captures whatever light you let in, and these guys over here, these are the brushes that painters. That's what you paint with, using flags and modifiers. That's how you define your light pattern and grids. Grids.
Like when
grids.
Like when I'm shooting those product photography of all the products, the modifiers. I put a lot of hours into lighting that, and then I use my super duper Hasselblad Mega Dunder camera to get this really beautiful image. But of course, if I switch that to like an iPhone or some other camera, it still will be beautiful. Yeah. So the camera, I mean, compare the cameras. How much does the camera compare? How much does the camera change the image compared to the light? The light is so much more important than the camera.
But still, we have. I mean, whenever someone takes a beautiful image, and then they start with, I used this camera with this model, and I had this lens on it, but they never mentioned, and maybe and then I used some Profoto flashes. But what I would really be interested in is, okay, so how did you use that flash? What did you do? And that's really where you are creating the image. Yeah. And that would be so much more helpful for me or for other photographers as well to understand. Well, I was twisting my softbox and I was doing these things and.
Oh, some comments about quality of light. I can say that I like the quality of light of the umbrella deep silver over any RFI octobox. is just not the same. Of
Yeah,
course, it's different.
Yeah, there are a lot of differences between a silver umbrella and a softbox.
Yeah, but
Because it could be a small RFI softbox like this one over here, and it would be very different versus an XL umbrella.
Exactly, but what is the difference? I mean, that is there is words for the things that actually, if you break down what actually is the difference, it is stuff. It is the penumbras. It is the size of the reflections. It is the contrast from the room you are within, and that's about it ish. So
maybe we should take a stab at it and try to draw out a few words that how you can break it down even more when you talk about the image. How do you describe the light in an image?
Yeah.
Maybe we should take a stab at that. And maybe we call some of our friends like Urs and so forth in other competitive brands and pull our heads together.
Yeah, and try to define the words that are behind light.
And then we go to number 10. And this is one of my favorites. Sunlight becomes soft.
Yes.
Yeah, so I've seen clips and stuff on YouTube where people have stated, I think they've even had to pay for it, where the sunlight travels so far, so the photons get soft because they travel so far. So that's why sunlight gives you this soft light.
Yeah.
And that's it's probably the hardest light we can find on Earth is the sunlight.
And I actually also heard that when light is coming from really high, that's about the same. It falls down and becomes like water driplets, getting softer.
Yeah.
That is another way of creating soft light. Just bring the light up high, it will become softer when it falls down.
And you do exactly the opposite, because if you bring it up high, it will be further away from the talent that you're shooting.
And your light source will become smaller, and
it will be harder.
Yes, it will be harder. So that is sunlight becomes soft. That is, I know that you have been really pointing at that one on YouTube, because that's such a strange.
Yeah, but also with the ones where you have the higher up you have the light, the softer it will become. So that's just basically misunderstanding.
Yes.
Will we one day come to Holland for a workshop? Well, we have our friends there, Roland, and we have Brendan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, so we need to talk to Brendan. Maybe we do something. He has a beautiful studio outside of Amsterdam in Alkmaar. I think it's called Alkmaar. I might be pronouncing it completely wrong, so I apologize for that.
And I don't pronounce it, so I'm free. I'm okay.
You're okay. Yeah. And so he has this brand new studio. So maybe we should go there and do something in Amsterdam.
That would be cool.
Yeah, or in Alkmaar.
Yeah, that place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What he said.
Yeah.
So we had a question from our friend Thin Penumbra.
Yes. Shintaro Yamasaki. How do you express about silver umbrella's light pattern? Yes. Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
I would say like this: the silver umbrella light pattern compared to the white umbrella light pattern. Okay, let's compare them. I would say that with a white umbrella, you will have a bigger light pattern. The stamp of the light will actually be bigger, because when you look at a white umbrella from the side, you will still see the white inside quite for. I mean, the more you turn it, you will still see the white inside. But with a silver umbrella, when you turn it, the silver side will go dark. And
we covered that actually in one episode as well,
yes,
on Academy Live, which is available on Profoto's Facebook page, and you go to videos and you'll see umbrellas, and we actually show that example. So
the light pattern will be smaller from a silver umbrella, and in that, what will happen is that you will light up the walls and the ceiling and the floor less. In other words, darker shadows.
Yes.
That is the main thing. And of course you get more power, so you expose your camera differently or have less power on the flash and so on.
Save batteries.
Yeah, but just the light pattern, I would say it's smaller on the... and of course you will have a brighter center. The fall off will be also differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the short version of the description of that.
Yeah.
And I know you can talk about that one for hours, and we're not. And John, he lives in Alkmaar.
Oh, yes.
So we will definitely see him.
Alkmaar.
Oh, now you said it.
I said
okay,
it.
you're in trouble. Joel, thank you so much for all your love, and it's always good fun to talk to you guys. And just quickly, these are our top 10 misunderstandings about light that we hear often, and I hope we've addressed them all. If you have more questions, please pop them into the comments, and we will answer them. And we love you guys. We love spending time with you on Wednesdays like this. And I also love all your comments and your engagement in this. It really, that's what makes this fun. And do ask us the tricky questions, and we'll do our utmost. If we can't answer them, we will say that we can't answer it, but we'll figure it out. We have some new addition, some more help here at Profoto. We actually have a PhD in physics, in photonics and optics.
Yeah, and laser stuff. I think.
And laser, yeah. So we have high level knowledge at Profoto. So we know, so we can always ask and get some more
if you got
questions.
Really deep questions, we would love them.
Yeah, but we have a good question here coming up from Kay. How's Ken? Well, Ken is...
Ooh. Yeah.
If you look at this, you see Ken in the background there. He's there, but that's only one Ken. Yeah. But
I can tell you that things are rolling on. Is that a word?
Yeah, it's moving forward.
It's moving forward with Ken. We are actually doing our research to create a new version.
Perfect Ken.
The perfect Ken, exactly. It will be a delivery date. I cannot give you one now because there's still details that we have to clear out to make this the perfect one. And I mean, this is to create Ken, the light head. This is my, it isn't my full-time thing to do. So I do it when I have the time. So it's a bit slow process, but it's getting there. It's getting there. I can see the light in the end of the tunnel.
And it's not an express train coming.
No, but it's moving. It's slightly.
Yeah, you're getting there.
Yeah, getting there.
And there are improvements that I've seen so far, which are fantastic.
Yeah.
So it would be really, really cool.
Yeah.
I need to get more.
Hang in there.
Yeah.
Hang in there.
Don't give up. So anyway, a big love from both of us to all of you guys, and we really wish you fantastic holidays. I hope you take time and recharge batteries. We're not going to do that because we're going to work.
Going to work all, yeah.
Yeah. But that's how we charge our batteries.
Yeah.
So we love doing that.
So
happy holidays, happy Saturnalia, happy Kwanzaa, happy Hanukkah, happy Ramadan, or Merry Christmas and Merry everything. Any holiday that you celebrate, if you take some time, or if it's only the weekend, happy weekend to you guys.
Yes.
And hello from Colombia. Hello, Colombia. So we will be back is 9th of January. So we are actually going to have a break now until the 9th of January.
Yes,
that's when we are back on business.
Yes.
So
cool.
So that's it, and happy holidays to Kay, and Feliz Navidad, Mike. Yes, absolutely. And I wish I know more languages.
Well, how do you say
in Finnish? Hyvää joulua.
Hyvää joulua.
That's in Finnish. We have
God jul in Swedish.
Yeah, and then you have Fröhliche Weihnachten in German, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
And Feliz Navidad in Spanish, of course. So anyway,
we say that.
Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and that there were some new stuff in there. If there wasn't, blame us. If there was, yay, great, then we're happy.
Any questions, please pop them on. If you have any dream topics, pop that on too.
Absolutely. And we'll see you next year. That feels so long.
Yeah.
But it's going to be fast. We will be back, and we'll have even more topics. And if you have any suggestions we did get one from our friend in Japan about micro contrast.
Yes.
Ooh. So that might be, maybe we do a separate episode on contrast.
Maybe
we could do that, yeah. So if you have any suggestions on topics that you would like us to cover, pop them in here as well. We do read everything, and and take notes. I have this long Excel sheet with all the different topics that we can talk about.
Yeah.
And sometimes we know a week ahead, and sometimes we know 2 hours before, and we decide what we to talk about. So, anywho, we will be back, and we will miss you all as well. We will be empty until the 9th of January, and then we'll have a built-up need to talk to you guys and tell more about light and all the fantastic things you can do with light.
Yes.
Cool images.
Yes. Bye bye.
And we got Uruguay here as well, and now we
Okay.
got more or less the whole world. Thank you, everybody, and I'll finish off with a short clip, a little video. Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Do you want to learn how to mix flash with ambient light? In this course, we scrap all the unnecessary, overwhelming information that you see online today. Here's what you actually need to start mixing flash with ambient light. My name is David Bischoff. I am the light shaping expert at Photo Academy. In this course, you will learn the three-step process of exposure, how to add flash to improve existing light conditions, how to create motivated light. The three-step process breaks down how you easily set the camera for perfect exposure in difficult conditions when mixing flash with ambient light. Adding flash to improve existing conditions. How can you enhance existing conditions with flash with a natural feel? Creating motivated lights. How you can use the background to light your picture in a natural way. So join me in this course and I will show you how to get started today, no matter what the equipment you are using.